park with our 3 kids. I mean, think of the ladies I can.
It's believing that people...
I get into a character is...
Breaking developments are rippling through Hollywood after Popstream dropped a story that has left fans and insiders reeling. At the center of the storm is Rob McElhenney, whose name is suddenly tied to new allegations fueling an already heated saga. What makes this twist even more explosive is how it intertwines with Ryan Reynolds, long celebrated for his razor-sharp humor and polished public image. Reports suggest Ryan has grown uneasy watching Justin Baldoni's career surge, a narrative that now stretches far beyond ordinary gossip. What began as faint whispers behind the scenes has erupted into full-scale speculation. Some believe Ryan's unease with Justin may be quietly feeding into the growing conflict surrounding his wife, Blake Lively. The feud between Blake and Justin has already been a public spectacle, but sources hint that Ryan's private doubts could be magnifying the drama, raising the stakes for everyone involved. Legal analysts are even suggesting that the personal clashes spilling onto set may pave the way for courtroom entanglements down the line. For years, Ryan and Rob presented an unshakable front. Their joint purchase of a soccer club and the feel-good series documenting their journey won over audiences, who loved the effortless camaraderie between them. That history makes the idea of Rob voicing concerns about Ryan especially startling. While Rob has continued to praise Ryan's comedic brilliance, he is rumored to have privately acknowledged discomfort with Justin's growing influence, particularly around the upcoming adaptation of It Ends With Us. That project was positioned as a career milestone for Blake Lively, pairing her star power with Justin's reputation for emotional storytelling. From the outside, the match seemed flawless, a guaranteed box office hit backed by early buzz and glowing press tours. Both Blake and Justin spoke passionately about honoring the book's raw themes, building anticipation for what could have been one of Blake's most memorable roles. Ryan, meanwhile, stayed in character as the supportive husband, publicly applauding her involvement while flashing his trademark charm, but as production moved forward, subtle cracks began to show. Rumors of tension trickled out, cryptic remarks, shifting body language, and industry whispers hinting at deeper conflicts. Early explanations focused on Justin's demanding workload or Blake's discomfort with his leadership style. Few imagined Ryan himself might play a part in the friction, until Rob's comments reframed the conversation entirely. According to unverified reports, Rob suggested Ryan displayed flashes of competitiveness when interacting with Justin, a stark contrast to his easygoing public persona. Behind the jokes, Ryan may have felt overshadowed by Justin's ability to connect with audiences on an emotional level, a strength far removed from Ryan's comedic lane. Those insecurities, subtle but persistent, may have influenced how Blake navigated her disagreements with Justin, adding yet another dimension to the mounting tension. Things escalated dramatically once Blake accused Justin of orchestrating negative leaks to portray her as difficult on set, a label Hollywood has a long history of weaponizing against women. Just as it seemed sympathy was turning in her favor, Justin's team struck back, releasing alleged text messages in which Blake jokingly referenced her powerful connections, including Ryan, to sway production decisions. While playful in tone, the implication was unmistakable. Blake believed her network could shape the project far beyond her performance. Initially, Ryan's involvement seemed minimal, his name almost an afterthought. But as these revelations gained traction, a darker picture formed. Could Ryan's discomfort with Justin have fueled the hostility between his wife and her director? Despite Ryan's undeniable dominance in comedy, Justin's ability to create poignant, emotionally charged stories may have stirred insecurities that few outside his circle had ever witnessed. Behind closed doors, the production was coming apart. Scripts were rewritten endlessly, schedules slipped, and creative visions clashed at every level. Industry observers pointed to an environment poisoned by ego, rivalry, and whispered power plays. What should have been a landmark adaptation was quickly unraveling into a cautionary tale about the fragile balance between personal pride and professional collaboration. In the end, It Ends With Us became more than just a film. It evolved into a mirror of Hollywood itself, where ambition, fame, and hidden rivalries collide under the harshest spotlight. Whether the project survives this turbulence remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the story behind the camera may prove just as dramatic.
Specific family tone. Sonny has a very specific if we told the same story, except
What started as routine creative disagreements on set quickly spiraled into something far bigger. Reports surfaced that Blake Lively requested multiple retakes for certain scenes, citing artistic choices, only to later claim that her emotional well-being had been disregarded by the production team. In another environment, this back and forth might have been dismissed as standard set politics. But in the glare of Hollywood's spotlight, every dispute became headline fodder, transforming the set of It Ends With Us into less of a collaborative space and more of a tabloid battleground. The drama deepened when speculation turned toward Ryan Reynolds. Whispers suggested that Ryan, long admired for his humor and laid-back persona, may have harbored private jealousy toward director and co-star Justin Baldoni. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. Was Blake magnifying minor conflicts to shield Ryan from criticism, redirecting blame toward Justin, or simply trying to maintain leverage on set? For fans and observers, it raised thorny questions. Was Ryan's alleged insecurity a driving force in the feud, or merely a distraction from the escalating power struggle between Blake and Justin? Into this swirl stepped Rob McElhenney. Known for his candid humor, Rob reportedly made offhand comments at a private gathering, remarks that quickly turned into viral fuel. According to a reliable source, Rob hinted that Ryan wasn't quite as calm and collected as his polished social media presence suggested. Instead, he described a more complicated picture, a superstar unsettled by Justin's grounded, emotionally resonant approach to filmmaking, which threatened to overshadow Ryan's brand of quick wit and blockbuster antics rather than criticism. Rob's observations were said to come from concern. He noted that Ryan's unease, though subtle, was placing even more strain on the already tense dynamic between Blake and Justin. Almost overnight, Rob was cast as an accidental whistleblower, someone who had unintentionally pulled back the curtain on Ryan's carefully managed image. Meanwhile, the headlines veered sharply toward the
Honestly, directing myself, a lot of that had to do with, the brilliance of Blake Lively and being able to act.
courtroom. Blake's legal team filed a wave of new allegations against Justin, accusing him of neglecting her needs during sensitive scenes and even making unsolicited remarks about her postpartum body. The claims struck a chord with many who recognize the unique pressures women face in Hollywood, and for a brief moment, public sympathy seemed firmly in Blake's corner, but Justin's camp wasted no time firing back. They released text messages portraying him as the opposite of careless, a director who frequently checked in with Blake to ensure her comfort during challenging moments, even referencing his own injuries in an effort to build understanding. The defense was bolstered further when additional messages appeared to contradict one of Blake's most serious claims, that Justin had entered her trailer without permission. According to Justin, she had personally invited him in, and their exchange had been light-hearted rather than invasive. These contradictions landed like a thunderclap, undermining Blake's credibility and forcing observers to reassess the situation. What began as whispers of jealousy and rivalry had now morphed into a tangled legal and public relations battle, where truth itself seemed to blur. With personal grievances, professional egos, and carefully managed reputations colliding, the fate of one of Hollywood's most high-profile productions hung precariously in the balance. The most devastating turn in Blake Lively's ongoing battle came with the sudden resignation of her longtime attorney, a seasoned Hollywood veteran known for guiding stars through some of the industry's most delicate disputes. What made the exit so shocking was not the departure itself, but the public statement that accompanied it. In a move almost unheard of in celebrity law, the attorney openly cast doubt on Blake's account, explaining that overwhelming documentation and testimony appeared to contradict her version of events. The message was unmistakable. Her defense had become untenable. This dramatic twist sent Hollywood into a frenzy. Social media lit up with speculation, talk shows dissected the professional ethics of abandoning a high-profile client, and analysts questioned whether Blake's credibility could survive the blow. The whispers about Ryan Reynolds' rumored jealousy toward Justin Baldoni only grew louder, with many wondering if Ryan would continue to stand by his wife as her claims crumbled, or whether the mounting scrutiny would put his own reputation at risk. Justin, meanwhile, adopted an entirely different strategy. Rather than retreating, he leaned into transparency, releasing unfiltered text exchanges and presenting himself as open to scrutiny. His statements remained respectful, even expressing regret that a project meant to honor a beloved novel had been overshadowed by personal drama. Each new revelation appeared to strengthen his standing, while Blake's credibility faltered under the weight of contradictions. Attempts to frame Justin as controlling or manipulative only reinforced his image as a thoughtful collaborator, as the evidence consistently seemed to tip in his favor. Ryan's position grew increasingly complicated. Once known for his constant presence online, witty posts, viral stunts, and light-hearted banter, he fell uncharacteristically silent. His absence from promoting Blake's project, initially chalked up to scheduling conflicts, soon appeared more deliberate. Insiders speculated that Ryan was either quietly supporting Blake behind the scenes or carefully distancing himself as doubts mounted. Rumors suggested his own insecurities about Justin's rising star may have been feeding the conflict, a possibility that risked pulling Ryan deeper into the controversy. Adding another layer to the unfolding story was Rob McElhenney, Ryan's close business partner and longtime friend. Known for his blunt honesty, Rob reportedly voiced concerns about Ryan's feelings toward Justin, hinting that jealousy rather than professional disagreements could be fueling much of the drama. If true, it would mean that personal insecurities, not just creative differences, were at the root of the escalating feud. The center of all this remained It Ends With Us, a film once expected to be a critical and commercial triumph. With Justin's reputation for soulful, emotionally resonant storytelling and Blake's star power drawing fan anticipation, the adaptation was set to be a cultural moment. Instead, it became a flashpoint for Hollywood's tangled mix of rivalry, image management, and fragile egos. Ryan's influence, while indirect, loomed large. His public stance could sway both media coverage and fan perception. As Rob's observations circulated, fans began to see the narrative less as a clash of professionals and more as a web of personal rivalries. Blake, once viewed as untouchable, now faced questions about whether her actions were opportunistic. Justin, initially cast by tabloids as a potential antagonist, gained sympathy through evidence that cast doubt on her claims. And Ryan, the ever-charming showman, now stood accused, at least in the court of public opinion, of wrestling with insecurities that complicated his role as both husband and Hollywood icon. What began as a simple creative clash between actress and director had snowballed into a sprawling saga of lawsuits, shifting loyalties, and reputations hanging by a thread. With each revelation, the line between personal life and professional image blurred further, leaving fans and insiders wondering whether It Ends With Us would ever escape the shadows of scandal or if the drama behind the scenes would define its legacy more than the story on screen.